Welcome back to another edition of Behind the Scenes with Rundgren Radio Virtual Vision.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to 2021.
Here it is, our first, well, technically our second, because New Year's Eve party went into 2021. But we have our final episode tonight for this series. We were going to do 4. We extended it to 6 because we had some requests, including this wine here. It's called Eden. It's a Pinot that, if memory serves me well, is created to try to be bold like a cab. So we'll let Dan explain that. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm right, but I think that's what got that conversation going one time. So we have a few fans with us tonight and special guest.
I always like special guests.
And we have a video.
Yay! Everybody loves those, Doug.
That's right. So we'll do that. But we want to thank you for everybody that's watched these shows. Hopefully you've got to see some or all 6 and have learned something. Dan's been great. We appreciate him in the Utopia Vineyard. We will do our best one day, Cruiser Mail, to have a party over there in Oregon.
Oh, I'm behind that 100%.
I think it'd be awesome. We've had some great guests too. We appreciate all our special guests. We appreciate all the fan guests. It's been a lot of fun. And this video today is going to feature the first ever all-female Todd Rundgren Utopia tribute band.
Oh, awesome. She-Ra.
Here we go.
Familiar ring of native
bring in our crew. Speaking of
Let's do it.
Kathleen and She-Ra, we'll start with her. What's up, Kathleen from
Hi, guys.
Boston, or Martha's
Hi.
Vineyard? What's up? We got Cindy from San Diego.
Hi.
Eric and Cynthia, first time tasters for us. What's up?
Doing great. From
Where
them.
do y'all live?
Love and happiness.
Where you guys live?
Memphis, Tennessee.
Memphis, Tennessee. Our first
Yeah.
Tennessee folks. Very good.
Oh,
We have a special guest too that'll be joining us soon. And we have the one, the only, Dan the Man.
Yeah.
Hey,
Hi,
Dan.
everyone.
Hi.
Hey, Dan.
So
Hey,
Dan, I
how's
know
it
you
going?
did. You
Good. How
good.
are you? Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Yeah. Happy New Year.
It's
I
gonna
watched
be.
some of your Facebook Live last night, your first virtual tasting from the vineyard.
Oh, yeah.
Saw that Cindy and Linda Fisher were beating you up on the comments over there. Asking
No,
lots of
those are pretty
questions.
fun. Those are pretty fun. We're doing First Fridays on the virtual tastings and picking a different wine to feature each time. And it's just kind of in addition to the wine tasting, we're just talking wine in general, kind of like we do here, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
All right. Well, we're excited about this Eden. We'll let you tell us about it, then try to taste and see what we think. But am I right? Is it you're going to attempt to be a little bolder?
Yeah. Yeah. So let's get into that. Before we do, I did want to say, because this is our sixth time that we've done the broadcast, and I know this is the last one we have planned. I just wanted to thank you guys. It's been really fun. And I've really enjoyed every one of them and getting to meet and get to know you guys. So just wanted to say that.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Thank you.
You're
Oh,
great.
we feel like longtime friends with you now, Dan.
I know. It's great, though. I really, really have enjoyed it. Okay, so Eden. Yeah, Doug, you were mostly correct. I wouldn't use the word cab in describing a Pinot, but it is intended to be more of a power Pinot. Hope everybody has the wine, right?
Yep.
So 2016 Eden.
Mhm.
This is the third time I made this wine. The first one was the 2014, and then I made it again in 15, and I made it again in 16, and then I skipped the 17 vintage because I didn't feel like I had the two barrels that were going to be what I wanted, and so I blended that lot into the Paradise that year, and then in 18 I came back with another Eden. But Eden is a single clonal bottling of Pomard. And if you guys drink Burgundy, if you drink a lot of Pinot, Pomard is one of the very, very, probably the most important standalone clone. Standalone in air quotes, right? Meaning that it's good enough to be bottled on its own. In fact, many of the Grand Cru Burgundies are made from 100% Pomard. Most of the time, Pinot Noir, even though it's all one variety, it is still a blend of the sub-varieties, also known as the clone. So usually it's a cuvee, and you have 3 clones, say. If you look at my estate wine, I blend 12 clones into that wine, all estate fruit. And that's one way to make a more complex Pinot Noir. But there are a few of these really important standalone clones. Pomard, I would say, being the most important one. And it's known for really massively sweet fruit and also a spicy characteristic. And it's my favorite clone. And it makes a bigger Pinot Noir. And the way I make this is 100% Pomard, 100% whole cluster fermented. So I'm not destemming any of the fruit. The stems are included in the fermentation. So that's going to add some additional structural element of the stem tannins to make a bigger tannic wine to go with the bigger fruit. And then I'm also aging it in 100% new French oak. Okay.
Well, the Pomard is what got Kathleen interested, because that's apparently something she's into. But why don't we, since we got a little explanation, why don't we bring in our special guest and do a little taste right quick, and then get back into the wine?
Okay.
If that's cool.
Yeah.
So everybody ready? Ready for a little special guest action?
Yeah.
Dun, dun, dun. Eliot Lewis, what's up?
Hey, Elliot.
There it is. Can you hear me?
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we hear you.
Appreciate you joining us.
Good to be here. Thanks for having me. How
Happy
you guys
New Year.
doing?
Great.
Great. We're doing great.
Cool.
Have you opened your bottle already?
I just opened it. Yeah.
You ready for a taste?
Yeah. I haven't poured it yet, but I like to air it out just for a minute, you know.
All right. Yeah. Well,
Of course.
Get some in your glass.
Yeah. The rest of us are a little eager.
How much should I pour?
Yeah.
Much as you
Just a
want.
little taste, and then you can let it breathe for a while if you like. Yeah, it's all good.
So this is a 2016.
Yes, sir.
Eden Pinot
Correct.
Noir. Cool. All right.
Y'all ready?
I'm ready.
Yep.
2021 getting better.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Sante.
My kind of Pinot right there.
Wow.
Very nice.
That is really nice. So smooth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And bigger, as you say. That's a good one. I said bolder, bigger.
Yep.
I know. I like a big Pinot.
I love it.
What did you say, Cindy?
I like a bigger Pinot. He likes.
She's more of a cab drinker, so this Pinot is perfect. It's kind of a she doesn't like the lighter Pinot. This is really good for her.
This is really
I
nice.
fantastic myself too. I think it's
Did
awesome.
Eric? Did you and Cindy have salmon already with it?
Oh no, but we're gonna have that afterwards. I wanted like cheese pairings when I was talking to you, and then you gave me like dinner.
Yeah. Well, sorry.
Yeah. But
All
we
right.
love
Well,
it.
I bet it'll be very tasty because Dan recommended it. So
No wine left.
Who is the expert here?
that is Dan, the man, right here.
Hey, Dan.
Howdy.
So
Hi,
I
Elliot.
I typically drink either Pinots or Cabs, and I'm by no means a wine expert. You know, I enjoy them, but I'm not sure I can always discern the little details in the wine. But if I'm not mistaken, a Pinot is a little bit typically lighter than a Cab. Isn't that right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Pinot Noir by definition is a medium-bodied dry red wine, and Cabernet Sauvignon is a full-bodied dry red wine by definition.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, this fits the description. It's light and smooth and you know what I don't like about some wines is when they're spicy. This is not. This is just a really nice, smooth tasting. I guess balanced.
Thank you. So, were you able to hear the intro that I gave on the wine, Elliot? Before
No,
you
I
in?
just got in.
Okay, so let me just, I apologize everybody else, but let me just give Elliot a rundown on the wine, okay? So,
All right.
so this wine is made from 100% Pomard,
Okay.
which is, if you're familiar with Pinot Noir, you probably are familiar with Pomard. It's the most important of all the standalone clones.
Okay.
What we're talking about in the intro is most Pinot Noirs are blends, even though they're 100% single variety Pinot Noir, we blend the sub varieties in with Pinot Noir.
Okay.
One is the clones, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Pomard is one of the very few and very important standalone clones that a lot of the Grand Cru Burgundies are made from. Okay,
I see.
it's also be my favorite clone, and it's known for massive sweet fruit, and it's also known to have a spicy characteristic.
Mm-hmm.
So I just opened mine too, like right before I came in. So I haven't really had a chance to really evaluate the wine. I'm kind of letting it breathe.
Yeah.
Very first sip. I mean, let's do it now. Let's just see what we're getting. The wine is a little cold. It came right out of my cellar at 55 degrees. Another factor right now.
Right.
I'm going to hold it in my mouth for about 10 seconds to try to warm it up and get some more of the evaporative odor so that I can get a better feel for it.
No, you don't have to hold your breath.
That is just a cypress, like super rich, juicy, kind of a velvety texture, I would say, mouthfeel.
Mm-hmm.
The tannins are there, but they're really pretty soft. They're not, considering it's 100% whole cluster wine. I'm surprised. It is a 2016, so it's had a few years in the bottle. But honestly, looking at the wine and looking at the color, it looks like a young wine. I wouldn't even guess it to be more than 2 or 3 years old. So I'm pretty close to that, but it's really not showing a lot of age. Once it has great clarity, it's very clear. I can see my hand through the bottom of the wine, and again, signs of aging. Wine's clear. It seems to be well made. And then let's look at the legs real quick. That's the other thing we can tell from looking at the wine. So I don't remember what the alcohol by volume is on this wine off the top of my head. It's on the front label, but let me wager a guess here. I'm thinking it's probably around high 13s.
Wow.
13.8. Good guess.
Right on.
13.8.
13.8. Okay. Yeah. So that makes sense to me. It's got some nice legs. And if you notice, if you can spoil your glass, if you can see the legs, it's got some pretty nice legs. And if you watch them, see how the legs are, how the wine and the water that's in the wine are running down pretty slowly on the glass.
Yeah.
That tells me there's a little more alcohol in there. We like to be between 13 and 14% with our Pinots here. And so it's at the higher end of that range. And if it was a lower, like 13%, like last night, the broadcast we did was on the 18. And the 18 was, there we go. I was trying to get a better picture for you through the window. The 18 was 13%. I like the lower alcohol ones, but this wine, it's got so much richness to it. There's no heat or anything at all. I mean, you just really get a really deeply fruited wine right now. And it's got a little bit of earthiness going on already, which I really like. And also, like I said, the texture, the velvety texture, the mouthfeel, the volume, and it's got some good weight on your palate, and it really fills your mouth. So I like all of those things, and it finishes clean, which is very important.
I'm curious, does the alcohol strength affect the taste? Does it affect the or the consistency of it?
Yeah, absolutely. So alcohol will, the main thing about alcohol in wine is if it's too much for the fruit that's there or the other elements in the wine, then it's going to be perceived as heat when you swallow the wine.
I see.
It literally will burn your throat. And also you can smell it in the wine, if you're paying attention. And so we don't want to get any of that heat in our nose or in our throat when we swallow the wine. And that's the main thing. But yeah, the tannins and the other phenolic compounds will affect how everything else in the wine is perceived, such as the alcohol.
So Dan, which glass you're using? The big, big Utopia glass.
Glass.
So I got this one from you, the Pinot. Well, let's see if we can get it better. It's got this here,
also known as the New World Pinot Noir glass. Okay,
the one I have or the one you have.
I have the one without the tulip lip.
Okay, I have the tulip lip.
Yeah, so that's the New World Pinot. This is the Old World Pinot. Okay, so there's some science behind that if you want to hear about it, but
sure.
I'll just tell you briefly. So the main feature of both of them obviously is the big bowl. The big bowl because Pinot Noir is considered an aromatic wine. You have the big bowl in order to release more of those, evaporative compounds that give you the aromas and flavors in the wine. So spreading it out like that and getting more of the surface area of the wine exposed to the air and the room temperature makes it open up and releases those wonderful floral and other aromatics in the wine. So so that's the main feature, and both glasses have it. But when you get to the New World Pinot, you have that little tulip shape, and the kind of the science behind that from Riedel is that because the way that the wine is directed onto your palate, if you notice when you're drinking from a proper wine glass, you have to tilt your head back, to get the wine in your mouth. And so once you get it in your mouth, you want to slowly drop your chin so that your entire palate gets coated while you're still holding the wine in your mouth. That's one little thing. And also let it brush up against the insides of your cheeks, because that's where you're going to perceive the acid in the wine, which, along with the tannins, is the other key structural element in the wine. So one of the things you want to look for are the tannins and the acids from the structural standpoint of the wine. And then, of course, all the aromas and flavors, you already get all that, right? And you're looking for the primary aromas and flavors, and then the secondary, and then the tertiary, if there are any, and if you can get them. Okay. So with the New World Pinot Noir glass, that little tulip, it directs the wine underneath your palate and back around your cheeks where acid is perceived, and then back over your palate. And the reason is because we're in a cooler climate, which preserves more of the acid in the grapes. And so the idea is for you to get that acid perception via the shape of the glass before it gets on your palate.
Awesome. So some people think the glass thing is silly, but the best way to test it, I had somebody teach me one time, is to take the same wine and try it in two different glasses. Try it in a nice glass and try it in a regular glass, and then you can realize that there is a difference. So good, enjoyed the lesson. But I love the Utopia glasses for obvious reasons. But I found out last night.
Love the wine.
Yes, I love the wine.
Love the wine.
You've been hiding out on us. You have a Utopia corkscrew that we didn't hear about until last night on your 5 shows.
Yeah.
You never mentioned it.
It was totally unintentional. Sorry.
I mean, if it's
Are
got
they
Utopia,
available
we'll get
to
it.
order?
God, I'm in trouble.
We are all about the merch around here.
All
We
about
we love a nice logo.
Yeah, the corkscrews are pretty cool. Here, I'll show you. Here's one right here I just used.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can see it, but it has a very subtle Utopia.
There it is. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's nice.
Very nice.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Excellent. Excellent.
Subliminal marketing.
Yeah, yeah.
Reminders.
So I have to ask, is the name Utopia connected with Todd, or is it just a complete coincidence?
Well, I mean, it's mostly a coincidence, although I am from that era.
Okay.
And I definitely very familiar with Todd and his music.
Nice.
And we do play it in the tasting room, along with all the other, softer side of the 60s classic rock that I love.
Right.
And so, yeah, I mean, I told this story in the first one that we did, but I'll just summarize. When I was coming up with the brand and I had written the business plan and called it Utopia, and then that was like 5 years before I even bought the land. So once it started to actually become a reality and I knew I was going to move forward, I started to really look at how, what did I want the look and feel to be of the brand. And so one of the designs I looked at was Todd's album covers and the artwork associated with his band. So there was that immediate, right from the beginning, degree of separation from us, right? So yeah, it's always been, and people come into Utopia and they come in the tasting room, and they always ask me, well, do you know the road to Utopia? And it's like, yeah, duh. So I get asked a lot. It actually comes up a lot. So it's connected in that sense.
Well, I love it. That's a fantastic idea that there's some inspiration there, and it's just a great name, obviously, too.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly, Elliot, I was super surprised that someone hadn't already taken that, especially for Pinot Noir.
Right.
Because it really is like the holy grail among winemakers.
Mm-hmm.
Good Pinot Noir and winemakers that make good Pinot Noir are highly respected in the wine industry.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's just, it's not called the heartbreak grape for no reason.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's very fickle, very difficult to work with.
Mm-hmm.
And you really have to do everything, almost perfectly to get a really good result with Pinot Noir, especially in a cool climate.
Where is the winery located?
So the vineyard and the winery located on about 25 miles southwest of Portland, just to give you, the high level, grid. But it's in the Ribbon Ridge American Viticultural Area,
Mm-hmm.
which is the tiniest American viticultural area in the state of Oregon.
Mm-hmm.
And it is, we refer to it as the heart of America's Burgundy.
Mm-hmm.
So
Nice.
the Utopia name, Eliot was for a while the lead singer with Average White Band. So you could do Average White Wine, but that wouldn't go over very well as a name. So,
Yeah,
you know.
here, try my mediocre Pinot Noir.
Yeah, I
That's
did
a
find,
very
yeah.
good shot, though, Doug. I like
Yeah,
that.
yeah. There is a Lewis wines. I did find that, and there is a Hall, and there's Oats. We had that in our
Wow.
in some of our videos. So yeah, and there's Eliot's mulled wine. So
Okay.
you've got some play too, but Average White Band probably never.
Average white wine. I love that.
It's not gonna happen.
It's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not going to work.
No. But anyway. All right. So Eliot, you got any questions for Dan?
Well, how long has the company been around? The vineyard and the winery.
Yeah, Utopia, I started a little bit later in my wine career. I did custom crush work in Napa first, and I had an import-export wine company there.
Mhm.
And my day job was tech. I worked in tech for about 30 years, but wine was my passion.
Right.
And my goal was to get to this point someday and make my own estate wine. And in 1998, I started looking seriously in the Willamette Valley to purchase a piece of land that I had hoped that one day I would be able to develop. And I figured I had to start somewhere. And so it was my big chance. It was my big chance to get in on the ground floor of the next Napa. And so after a 2-year search, I came to look at a property on Ribbon Ridge that was for sale. It ended up not being the property I bought, because when I got there, there was a adjacent property up the hill on the slope that was ideal in every way.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't on the market at the time, but I went up and knocked on the owner's door, and he ended up selling it to me that day on the spot. So that's how it came to be, and that was in October of 2000. So I
Okay.
started this 20 years ago, and it was just a horse pasture
Mm-hmm.
when I started. So planted all the vines and built all the buildings and everything from scratch.
Mm-hmm.
And in 2018, I bought another 36.5 acres up the road, also in Ribbon Ridge, and built my new winery there. And that's where we have our guest cabin, where you get to stay when you come visit me.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm developing another 15 acres up there right now, Eliot.
Nice. Nice.
We're going to
That's
do
great.
some different fun stuff.
Good for you. That's a great story. Well,
Thank you.
if Hall and Oates get back out on tour later in the year, and we get to your area, I'll give you a call and invite you to the show, and we'll have some wine together.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
Eliot, we have we really want to do a party out there at his vineyard.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
an Eliot Lewis show, a Cy Kernan show, we just add it all together. Gil, we would have a blast out there. It's a perfect place.
Absolutely. Count me
Yeah.
in.
Yeah, the photos just are gorgeous, Eliot.
Yeah, well, you guys, and I say this on every show, but you haven't been, and not everyone has been here. Everyone, I mean, you guys come anytime. We're open year round. I mean, we're going to get our vaccines out this year, and everything's going to get back, hopefully, to whatever the new normal is, and things will, people feel more confident to travel and stuff. And like you said, hopefully get back out on tour and some of those things. So
Yeah.
when that happens, definitely come and visit. We'll roll out the red carpet. We'll have some laughs for sure.
Sounds good. Well, let's
Sounds
see if
good.
our new tasters, Eric and Cynthia, have some questions for you, Dan.
Hey,
Right.
actually, Dan, I got a question for you about your vineyards. And so I heard on one of your shows that you had mentioned that you do organic and biodynamic
Mm-hmm.
growing. And so,
Yeah.
but that's also not listed on your label. So can you comment on the difference, how, organic versus biodynamic? And
Yeah.
And is that different in Oregon than, say, Napa?
Not really, but different states have their different organizations. But as far as like organic, we actually use CCOF, which is a California organic certification. So they go to other states, they're national. But there are different programs. It's called TILF. Is one of the organizations, and in Oregon, that same thing is called LIVE, for low input viticulture and enology. But so yes, absolutely don't use any. We don't use any chemical fertilizers or insecticides, pesticides, fungicides. We do everything by hand, and we only use certified organic products that are approved by CCOF or whoever we're getting our certification from. It's the right way to do it. I mean, those synthetic chemicals, they don't fully decompose, so they end up being residual in the soil. Anything that's in the soil will end up in the grapes, which will eventually end up in the wine. And one of the big culprits is glyphosates, which is Roundup. And if you've seen if you read the news in the last couple of years, you know that Monsanto was sued and paid out $10 billion for telling people that Roundup fully decomposed, and now we know that it doesn't, and it causes lymphoma, among other chronic diseases. So they had to pay out $10 billion, and it's probably not the last lawsuit. So we don't use that. That's used for undervine weed control in many of the vineyards, and it's now known that 100% of California wines contain glyphosates. So organic, biodynamic is the way to go. Are you familiar with? I mean, they're roughly the same thing in terms of the product you're using, but biodynamic is an ancient method of farming, right? It follows the phases of the moon, and it involves some other incantations in the vineyard and stuffing cow horns with manure and burying them in the fall, and then digging them up in the spring, and then spraying them over your vines and things like that. I don't do the full biodynamic, but I am organic. And
can you also comment about aging your wine in the new French oak barrels?
Yeah. So with Pinot Noir and Chardonnay, which are the two varieties that I have planted at Utopia Vineyard, which are the wines of Burgundy, right? Red Burgundy is 100% made from Pinot Noir. White Burgundy is 100% made from Chardonnay. We have similar latitude here, so we have similar climate, and so that dictates what we plant. So that's why I say the heart of America's Burgundy here. Sorry, what was the question?
The new French oak barrels.
Oh, the barrels, yeah. So apologize. So we use a certain percentage with wines like Pinot Noir and Chardonnay. They're fairly delicate wines. Chardonnay is like a blank sheet of paper. So if any little mistake you make, it's going to show up more dramatically in the finished wine. Pinot Noir is a delicate wine, and so French oak is the only type of oak that we really use. In the winery, we say French or forget it, except we don't say it that politely, actually, so you get my drift. And that's because these wines really demand the best barrels that money can buy. And we use a certain percentage of new and once filled and twice filled and 3 times filled and neutral barrels to come up with the percentage of new French oak that we want in the finished wine based on the condition of the fruit. Because at the end of the day, it's all about balance. Now, when I was making, this was the last Pinot that I made. When I started here, my first production was 05, and I made what I call my estate Pinot, which is a blend of all the different Pinot Noir clones that I grow each year, which is now up to 12. And then in 09, I added my first reserve, which is Paradise. And Paradise is a blend of 3 clones from my original 02 planting, including the Pomard. And then it also has Dijon 777, and it has Badensville, which is a popular clone here in Oregon. And then in 2014, I added the Eden. I skipped over the 777. In 2010, I added the 777, which is another important standalone clone. And that one was my first experiment with whole cluster fermentation. And I always do 100% when I do whole cluster. and I really liked the result with it. And so then I started doing all my reserves 100% whole cluster in 2011, including the Paradise. And then when I added the Eden, it was my vision of Power Pinot. It's something I always wanted to do, but I had to wait for the vines to mature. And I select out of the entire Pomard lot the 2 best barrels, and that's what I make it out of.
So do you find that to be more mineral when you use the vines and everything?
Well, it adds a couple things when you put the stems into the fermentation. You're going to add about, if it's 100% stem inclusion like I'm doing, which is the old world way of making the wine, then it's going to add about 15% additional tannins in the finished wine. So it adds that additional structural element. And then if it's done properly, you're going to get an enhanced spicy characteristic on the finish of the wine. And it can be anywhere from like white pepper to, say, sandalwood. And it changes as the wine evolves.
So when do you think this wine
When do I think what?
it'll peak as far as being bottled? When would be the best year to
So, I mean, this wine, if it's stored properly, could go 20 years, no problem. I mean, I'm right now, I'm tasting it and I'm like, yeah, I would like to give this another 5 or 7 years, right now, right off the top. And it's already 4 years old. So,
Too late.
so that would be already over 10, like 12, 13 years. And I think you'd probably start drinking it then.
And you only make 2 barrels?
I only make 2 barrels.
So how many bottles does that come out to be?
That's 300 bottles per barrel, so 600 bottles.
Okay.
Wow.
we can get some?
I have a question. So is there a shelf life on the new French oak barrels?
Yeah. So with the barrels, like I said, we use new and once and twice and 3 times filled. After 3 fills, the barrel is considered neutral. And we can continue to use them beyond, when they're neutral. It just depends on whether or not we're able to sanitize them. Wood is porous, and sometimes you can't get it basically to where it smells good. And once it doesn't smell right to me, I take it out. Or if it leaks to the point where I can't repair it, then it's going to come out. But usually, I mean, I can use them for, I'm using barrels from the 2013, 2014 vintage as some of my neutral barrels right now.
Now, curious if this were this 2016, say another 5 or 6, 7 years older, what would the difference be in your opinion? How would it change? What would the effect on the taste be?
Oh, awesome question. So as the wine slowly ages in the bottle while it's being stored, in the proper conditions, it's going to slowly oxidize. And what that's going to do is it's going to soften and round out the tannins.
Okay.
And the acid is also going to dissipate a bit. So instead of being brighter fruit, it'll be smoother. And then as the wine integrates and the molecules in the wine become more integrated over time as a result of that and the oxidase process, you're going to develop more of those secondary and tertiary flavors. So the earthiness and the spiciness will come out more.
I see.
And the fruit will dissipate a bit.
And
Well,
you
that's
say
funny
that's
because-
more like 7 or 8 years?
Yeah, I mean, for any of my other Pinots besides Eden, 5 to 7 years is a good time to start drinking them from the vintage date, which is always the date on the bottle, which is always corresponds to the year the fruit was harvested. So 5 to 7 years from that's a great time for my other Pinots. For this one, it's more like 10.
So which Pinots do you have now would you recommend getting for drinking today?
Well, I always say the golden rule is if you like it, it's great. And one of the things about Oregon Pinot Noir is that every year we're making a unique wine. When you're farming for quality and doing everything by hand and, taking all the trouble to do it right, then you're going to get a true reflection of that growing season. That's the difference between that and a production wine, where it's always going to taste the same every year, right? We're making it to be a true reflection of the growing season. So because of that, we have vintage differences, not as dramatic as what you would have in Burgundy, but we do have vintage differences. And so some years, if it's a little cooler, we have less heat, less light diffusion. You're going to get a little bit less ripe fruit, and that's going to translate to a more silky, more nuanced style of Pinot Noir, where you might get more of the barrel effect because the fruit's not so intense and there's less tannins, versus a warmer year like 16, where it's just really deeply fruited and more tannic for a Pinot Noir. So if you like somebody on the call is used to drinking cabs, they're going to go more for the warmer years, like 16 and 14. Those are the kind of years, 12, where you're going to get a bigger style, bigger, more fruit forward, tannic style, more texture. And then those other years, the odd years mainly, you're going to get more of the silky, more of the Burgundian style. People say, but I say Oregondian.
Is there a rule of thumb for Pinots, Oregon? Let's say like 5 years is the time, the minimum, or 2 years, 3 years, where you really are going to get a good peak type taste.
Yeah. So, I mean, as a winemaker, I want my wine to be good no matter when you drink it. Okay. So once I release it, you can drink it right then, or, I'm holding it to where I feel, okay, now I don't care if people drink it at this point, because the truth is that 98% of all wine is consumed within 48 hours, the time of its purchase in the United States. Okay.
Wow.
So,
we're not very patient, are we?
so if you have a cellar and you're drinking older wines and you're into that, then that's what we're talking about. You're storing it, because if you're not storing it properly in the first place, then all the aging bets are off. Okay.
Right.
So you have to have that caveat in there. But what I'll tell you about my wines is that after about 2 years in the bottle, they're going to show their first dramatic improvement, and then it'll become more incremental over the next 7 to 10 years. So usually I was a collector when I started in the wine trade, and if I liked a wine, I would buy at least 3 bottles of it so that I could drink it over its lifetime, and see how it evolved in the bottle. If you're into it, that's how you do it, and you take notes, and then you see, and then from experience what are the optimal drinking times for those wines.
Dan, question. I don't remember which wine, because of course we've all had a lot of wine during the last 6 tastings.
As it should be.
But you were talking about you had some sort of a contest or something to name a particular wine.
Yeah, that was Bliss.
That was the Bliss, and you tampered with that election, and then used the one that you liked as the name. Where did the name Eden come from?
I guess that's very germane right now for the discussion. Right? So yeah, just for those of you that weren't on that call, so in 2017, I made a white Pinot Noir. We call it Pinot Noir Blanc, right? But it's basically a white wine made from the red Pinot Noir grape. And that's, you can make a white wine from any red wine grape. We can go into how that's done if you want, but trust me, you can do it. It's just the way that you vinify the wine is like a white wine instead of a red wine to get the difference. So when I was rolling out this wine, we decided that we would have a contest to name it. So you see the way I'm naming my wine. So first of all, it's Utopia, and then it's Paradise, and it's Eden. So you see a clear thread there of a theme. And but we thought we'd have a contest, make it fun for our club members and mailing list to help us name the new wine. And so we came up with about a half a dozen names that we put out there, and then we had an other column for people to write in if they had their own. And one of the names on the of the half a dozen or so that we put out, one was Opal, and one was Bliss, and there were a few others. One was the White Tower, which is where Henry VIII sent Thomas More when he got in trouble for not sanctioning his divorce, King Henry's divorce. So we had a nice choice there, and we sent it out, and we let everybody do it, and we got some other suggestions back, and then we let everybody vote, the number one name that came back was Opal. And I was like, well, I don't have to reveal that because I wanted bliss, because bliss goes with my theme and the thread that I have for the wines. If I called it Opal, then I'd have to come up with a whole line of gemstone wines. It didn't make sense to me, and so I made an executive decision to say that the winner was Bliss. I didn't say that it got the most votes. I just said it was the winner.
What about Eden?
But what about Eden? Yeah, this one.
Well, we didn't have a contest for Eden. That was all me.
Okay. Well, it does follow in your pattern, though, very well.
But just to be clear, Bliss was number 2 in the voting.
Fair enough.
So,
Well, this is really a great wine. This one, maybe my favorite. I love the Clone 77. I love the Bliss. Of course, that's different than the Reds, but it's been a good journey. I've had some good wine.
It's amazing.
I would give this wine a couple more years probably before I drink it again.
Too late.
It's interesting, Dan. It's interesting. It's interesting from my first sip to now. It just feels like the wine opened up, and now I'm tasting more nuances. I do taste some of the a little bit of the spice in it. It just feels like from the first sip to now, it really kind of.
I'm having the exact same experience, and it's because it's been in the glass now for however long, 20, 30 minutes. And it's starting to come up to room temperature. So it's getting to breathe and it's warming up. And so we're getting so much more out of the wine. And this is going to continue to open up. I mean, mine was, like I said, it was like 55 degrees when I took it out of the cellar. So I'm just going to leave it. And we're gonna grill some steaks here later. So I'm going to be drinking this with my ribeye on the barbecue.
Nice.
Yum.
I'm gonna be sad when this one's gone.
Red meat and red wine, yeah, baby.
I'm getting another bottle, and I want to hold on to it for another 5 years before I taste it, and then we
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing to do. Just stick it in a corner in your cellar and forget about it for a little while, and then come back to it. It will reward you.
Don't be like the rest of people and do it like that.
Right, but like I said, it's you can judge for yourself. It's good now. If you're going to drink it now, decant it, give it time to breathe and open up, and it's still delicious wine right now.
All right, so everybody knows it's watching. If you're interested in this wine, you have to call in and order it. They don't have it on the website. So
Eden is not on our website now because it's so limited.
Yep.
But you people are in the know now if you're watching this show.
Right.
I know. We just gave away a big secret.
We always have scoop. So before we leave, Cindy, you've been awfully quiet. Do you have any kind of questions, Cindy?
Dan, did you say you also had a 2018 Eden?
Yeah, I do, but that one won't be released for a while.
Okay.
I hold them for a couple of years in the bottle, and it wasn't bottled until January of 20. So it's going to be another year and a half.
Okay. I just want to again share that I was always a Sonoma County wine. That was my favorite. And I must say over the past month or so that I've been enjoying several of your wines. I'm just really enjoying them. And they're so clean. They're so smooth and clean. There's not like an afterbite that I'm finding that a lot of my old favorites have. During the holidays, my daughter and I were trying different things, and I was just saying, I'm a Utopia convert now.
Thank you. That's very nice for you to say, and it's very important to me that you don't have that type of a bite or anything that's off-putting like that. The difference between a really good wine and a great wine is the finish to the wine. If you get that nice smooth finish, and then it finishes medium long or long, where you're enjoying the good flavors, and they're lingering on your palate, then that's a great wine. I mean, that is really a great wine, and I mean, I sweat and cry and laugh, and I talk to the barrels. I mean, I'm crazy because I want it to be as best as it can possibly be, and I'm making some pretty good wines. I'm not humble about that, but every year I want it to get better. That's the whole symbolism of Utopia, right?
Yeah. Cindy is your number one Riesling fan for sure.
Yes.
She loves it. And
Yes.
she is looking forward to, as I am, to your future efforts at port.
Yeah, that one's probably a year away from bottling, I would say.
We can wait.
We
All
can
right.
wait.
Be back.
We're going to have a port special show.
There it is. Sparkling wine special show in 2-3 years.
Yeah, and if you're not familiar with my Riesling, some of you may not be. I make it as a dessert wine. It's an ice wine, late harvest ice wine, and we pour it on our ice cream. It's incredible.
So I tried that for New Year's, and
Yeah.
it is so amazing. It is like liquid honey, everyone. You need to try it because it's sensational.
You put it over ice cream, Cindy?
I did. I tried what Dan had said, and it is, I would never have thought of that unless, it wasn't until I heard him say that's what he does. And yeah.
If you don't want to be too decadent, it goes great with a cheese course too.
It is so amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, we use it as an aperitif with like some artisan bread and a little, some good pate or something, and we use it as a replacement for a sauterne.
Oh,
and it's just something different, occasionally. So it's really pretty versatile.
So with the vanilla ice cream?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah, I did vanilla
Definitely. And if you want to get a little fancier, you can slice some peaches and throw them in there. I like to throw them on the grill for a minute.
Yes.
And get that smoky flavor, and then add them to the bowl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good stuff. That's what we're going to do when we come party at Utopia Vineyards in Newburgh, Oregon.
Yeah.
It's going to happen, people.
Will you
Save your
deliver
money.
the next Todd stock, please?
There we go. That'd be a good place to do it. Yeah.
And I hauled a bunch of wines, to Virginia. We'd like to eliminate that.
Let me help.
All right. Well, Dan, we appreciate it, man. Thanks so much for educating us on Eden and so many other things. And this has been a great series. We've had a lot of fun. And a couple of years, maybe we'll come back for port and sparkling wine. Who knows?
I hope so. I hope so. It's been fun for me too. I really have enjoyed it.
Oh, Dan, we love you.
Dan, so much.
We love you, Dan.
Thank you.
We do love you, Dan.
This coming year. Cheers.
All right. You're right.
Yeah. And I'll get on the website and check out some wine and order something.
Yeah, awesome.
Ooh, a new customer.
There you go.
Beautiful. What we live for.
Call you.
All right, good stuff. So, Eliot, we stick around and talk a little bit about wine post Dan. So, if you don't mind hanging out with us,
sure.
So anyway, he's got a newsletter. If you sign up for that, typically you'll get a discount. They'll send you an email for a discount, which is helpful in this scenario because it's a small vineyard. But
yeah, you're not going to find this in liquor stores.
No.
Okay.
No. Or wine stores anywhere really.
Oh, okay. That I was thinking of asking that, but then we went on to something else. So okay.
Yeah. you got to order it straight from there. And some of it, like the Eden and the wine glasses, you got to call them, but they're really great wine glasses. They're Riedel and they got the logo, and he's got a white one and this New World Pinot, as he called it, No World Pinot. So I have them all. They're really good. So usually what we'll do, and we're going to do it tonight because that's usually what we do, Cruiser Mill, is we like to hear your wine story. So if you have, you may not have one, but are you a wine drinker? And if so, how long you've been drinking and what's your story on that?
I am, but I would classify myself as a very casual wine drinker. I'm like I said, I'm not, I kind of know what a good wine is when I taste it, but I don't necessarily track the brands and the labels, and I'm not that into it. I certainly find, and I'm sure we've probably all experienced this if we're out at a restaurant and we're maybe distracted or in a rush and we just order like a house Pinot or something, and it's so new that it has a lot of acid to it. That's that's immediately obvious to me. This is very, very smooth and doesn't have any of that. Obviously, this is a much higher end wine. But I don't know. I don't really have any memorable wine experiences.
Have you ever been to a wine tasting?
I've done a little bit of wine tasting, nothing drastic, but I did the Sonoma Napa tour, but this is years ago that I did probably with, I get probably the average white man. No, actually, it was with Hall & Oates. Actually, we did play some wineries, some vineyards out there. So yeah, I'm not a big drinker. This is kind of a treat for me. So, but I love red. I'm not really a white wine drinker. I love red. Cabs and Pinots are my favorite.
So the rumors about you having Opus One on the rider are not true.
Probably not.
Well, I've noticed on the now some of them now are kind of older shows, the Live from Daryl's House shows. When you guys sit down and have a meal with your featured guest, there's always wine on the table. Who is the big wine guy? Is Daryl a big wine guy?
He is. He used to be much more into wines. Now he's a real bourbon guy. And I'm trying to think of the bourbon that he likes. I don't know a lot about bourbon and whiskey. It's a very specialized high-end bourbon that he likes, but he used to be a wine guy. And the wine that he was really into that is always ends up on our rider that we have in the dressing room is a very called Jordan, which is an incredible wine. It's super smooth. It's very nice high-end wine. So we have at that because there's usually 2 bottles per show in the dress, and he doesn't really touch it. So the band kind of divvies it. But it's sort of like, we each have a glass or 2 at dinner, and that's pretty much it.
Fantastic. Yeah. All right. Well, we have some new tasters. We've already heard Cindy and Kathleen's stories, but how about it, Johnson's? What's y'all's wine story?
Go ahead, Eric. Oh, I was dating this captain in the and
what a story.
He was a wine connoisseur and he made fun of me. So he started me with Schwarzkopf, which is a German white wine. And I was like 19 years old. I was in college. I knew nothing, and I progressed from there. But this guy, we do lots of wine tastings. We've been to a lot of vineyards. We haven't been to Oregon. My father loved all the wines from Oregon. We talked about that immensely in their travels. But I love a big cab, and this is fabulous because as this ages, it's even going to be better, and it's so silky and smooth. I totally enjoy it.
Where have you been to Napa and Sonoma, I take it, and maybe Washington?
Yes, we've done lots of, not Sonoma so much because we're red wine drinkers. So we really stayed in the Napa vein. And, just New York restaurants, and meetings that we've been to.
So it's really funny that you mentioned Opus One because that's one story we have. So we had a meeting in Nashville one year, and this was before Nashville became cool and a great city. Sure. When Nashville kind of wasn't quite as good as it is now. And there was actually a fantastic restaurant though called the Wild Boar, and it's unfortunately not open anymore. But we had a dinner there one night. So we had 40 people, but they had us all around individual tables, and then they had 40 waiters bring out our, everything was covered and uncovered at the same time.
Wow.
So we were actually there with the founder of Medtronic, Earl Bakken, and his doctor had told him that he needed to drink a glass of red wine every night. So Earl researched, and if it was 1 glass of red wine every night, it was going to be the best red wine in his mind that he could find.
Wow.
Opus One. And so fortunately, the Wild Boar was on the Wine Spectator list, and everything had a huge cellar. And so we drank them out of the entire cellar of Opus One that night. And so since then, we've been an Opus One fan. We've got a vertical collection going on for probably about 20 years now.
Wow.
So we do have that going. Although again, the Opus One tour in Napa is not necessarily our favorite tour.
Sure.
But Opus One is a fantastic wine.
It's a great wine if you got, it's like $2.65 a bottle, I think.
Yeah,
It's
and one
out
of
there.
my friends, his aunt is on the board at Opus One, so we went out there and did the tour, and it was so clinical and so technical, and it was not to me as enjoyable as the tiny vineyards in Napa where you just
Right.
feel like you're at one with everybody.
Right.
Really clinical. It was like the stainless steel vats, and I'm looking at Eric and I'm like, okay. How many more minutes are we going to be here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Opus is that's a different level. You got the small ones like Frank Family, Gurgitch Hills, some of those out there in Napa that are
Right.
on farm.
We love Del Dotto out there.
Yeah.
That it's a really tiny vineyard, but we just love the cave tastings and my favorite thing to do.
Was what?
My favorite vineyard to go to.
Is which one?
Del Dotto.
Del Dotto. Okay.
He has a great history because he was
Infomercial.
infomercials. He made that into a business, and then he developed this vineyard. So
Okay. Well, Sonoma has a lot of Pinot. They have some great reds there.
Well, I'm going to go with Cindy.
Yeah, that's a great place to visit as well. It's not as easy to get around as Napa, but Oregon is all about Pinot. They do have Pinot Gris. They do have some whites and everything, but you're gonna be drinking a lot of Pinot Noir. That's just the way it is over there. That's what they specialize in, and there's a lot of them, and it's a lot more difficult to get around than it is in Napa. But you just get somebody to take you. That's what you want to hire somebody to do that versus. Napa, you can just go down one street pretty much, Rutherford Road, and you can see everything if you want. But,
Right.
Yeah. It's a lot of fun. So Eliot, you've been to Napa a few times, I guess. Yeah.
I've been in Napa definitely, I think twice. Yeah. Once we did a show, like a private show. And then once we did a proper tour. And it's, it's fun for sure. It's fun to try different wines, see what you love. There's so many. It seems to be a pretty endless, array of flavors and mixes and blends. So it's fun. I love it.
There are several venues out there that are, I don't know if they're the kind that y'all would play necessarily. I know Todd's played a few of them. Mountain Winery, I think.
Oh yeah, that's
Temecula.
gorgeous.
Yeah,
I've played that many times.
Yeah,
Yep.
Some really good places out there for wine. And of course, there was one place Todd went to, VR Cone. They had a concert, and he did the Johnson Show out there. And David Pack did an album out there, Napa Crossroads, he called it. There's a lot of wine history in rock and roll.
Yeah,
without a doubt.
Is Todd a wine guy?
No, not at all.
His wife is. Yeah.
No. Mary Lou likes white wine, and Michelle likes a little white wine, but Todd is all about the vodka.
Vodka.
Yeah.
Actually, I knew that. Actually, I remember that.
And Prairie's a big tequila guy, but we had him on one of these and doing. He will drink wine, so he liked it. He had a good time. So yeah.
You better figure all this out, Eliot, because we understand you're going to be part of the Clearly Human
That's right.
tour.
Yes, indeed.
Got to be able to hang, dude.
I know.
Have you learned all the material yet?
I'm ready for anything. What's that, Doug?
You learned all the material yet?
Yeah, I'm pretty good. Actually, I'm in good shape. I'm happy and grateful that I got the set list, in time where I didn't have to scramble in one of those situations. And I've had plenty of those, so I'm doing pretty good. I actually spoke to Todd the other night and went over some things with him, and it was good to catch up and, compare notes and stuff. And, I had a couple of questions about keys of the songs and just my general approach and stuff. And we were both on the same page. So I can't wait. I really can't wait. It's so cool because, it's I've been as a solo artist, obviously a lot of people know me as a keyboard player and Hall & Oates because that's what I'm usually doing on Live from Daryl's House. But in my own career, I'm almost predominantly guitar. And amazingly, I sort of was ready to kind of transition back into my keyboard world for my own music and my own career when along Todd, invited me to do this. So it kind of worked out really well. It sort of seemed to be part of the plan to get me back into that other element. Um, and then just rediscovering his music and some of the songs that they're doing on these shows. There's a few things I haven't actually heard, believe it or not. So and most everything that we're playing I haven't played with him. I think I've only played 5 of these songs. I've done other songs with him, but for what we're doing on these shows, I think there's only 5 songs that I've ever played. So a lot of the material is really new for me. And as Todd he's such an incredible musician and such an amazing piano songwriter. A lot of the stuff is pretty complex.
Really?
So it's great. It's a challenge to learn some of it, but then it's like, oh, that's how he does it.
So when you're doing the live from Daryl shows, are y'all? Do you get a lot of rehearsal for that, or are you winging some of it? Like it's like you got to do this song, and all of a sudden you're going, okay.
Yeah, that happens much more quickly. I mean, sometimes we're given a set list maybe a couple of weeks in advance, but typically when we're on a roll and we're doing now, the show isn't really in production now. There's no new productions. The last thing we did was the Tommy Show on Ty Taylor. So everything you see on Access TV is sort of that. Those are older things. But when we were on a roll, we would do these once a week. So, there was a lot of learning to learn the 6 or 7 songs we were going to do each week.
Sure.
We'd have about a week to do them, to practice them on our own. And then when we get together to shoot an episode, it's all done in one day. The band will go over a song once. Daryl will come in, and then the artist, the guest will come in. And usually after we run through once the band, once with Daryl, and then what we do with the artist is usually the first take. Unless somebody really messes up a giant mistake.
You are killing me because you guys come across as like the really perfect band, and apparently you are the perfect band.
Yeah.
So besides,
thank you.
Besides Todd, I don't want because I don't want to put you on the spot there. Besides Todd, who has been your favorite artist that y'all have had on that show? You think, or somebody you recommend that we listen to that maybe we don't know much about?
Oh, an early and Todd definitely is one because you guys know. I mean, I've been listening to Todd since I was 10 years old, so he's a huge influence on me. But there was an artist really early on, and she was incredible. She is incredible. I don't know really what she's doing now. I think she moved to England, but her name is Diane Birch.
Birch. I was about to say that was mine too. Yeah, she's
really young girl, and she's sort of like
really good.
I mean, just amazing, super soulful, great pianist, really lovely person, and great songwriter.
Yeah, she actually came here for a show. I went to go see it because I'd seen her on Live from Daryl's, and she was very young, and just once she started singing, you're like, whoa, and I was a good songwriter. Yeah, she was great, absolutely. Yeah, there's so many people. There's been some great people on there. It's been a fun show, and I bet I got to think the highlight though was going to Hawaii. I mean,
that was fabulous.
The best show.
I love that show.
They couldn't have worked that out better. It was really, we did a 2 or 3 week tour of Japan, and then on the way back to Japan, stopping in Kauai was obviously the perfect. And to be able to do that with Todd in on his property was incredible. The whole experience, and I kind of forgot about some of it, and then I've been scrolling because I've been researching a lot of Todd's stuff to get some of the live arrangements, to see how they were doing certain songs live. So every time I go to YouTube, it's filled with Todd Rundgren stuff because you know how the algorithm works. Once you put something in, more of that comes up. So sort of behind the scenes footage of the Kauai show we did with him. I forgot with all the dancers and the partying that we did afterwards and the food spread that they had. It was quite the It was quite the experience. And I think he was a little shell shocked when we got there because I think he figured, you know, we were going to have like 1 or 2 cameras and it was going to be really low key. We come in and jam and you know, we descend with all this production and crews and cameras and
Yeah.
But I think it turned out great.
It was great.
It's such a fantastic show. I hope that it eventually gets to come back again. Because it's wonderful. It introduces people to a lot of people.
Sure.
I had never heard of Diane Birch
She's
before.
great. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
I know she's amazing. I mean, but you know, there were so many of those new bands. Chromeo. Oh my God.
Mootlu was on there twice.
What's that?
Mootlu was on twice.
That's right.
Famously.
Mootlu.
Yeah.
So
what was a shocker was that, and a shame in a way, is that there was only one live show, the concert. I was there for the one in New Jersey.
Oh, right.
At the casino. It's unfortunate that I didn't get to tour some. I think it would have done very well.
Yeah.
People would have, especially the Todd show. Yeah.
I know. I think we maybe did a few of those. We did the Todd and we did John Resnick of the Goo Goo Dolls.
Okay.
And I think we did Sharon Jones and Alan Stone.
Okay.
That was we did a live from Daryl's house, live in front of an audience, and those were really cool.
Yeah.
I hope we can bring all that stuff back. You know.
Yeah, that'd be great. Absolutely.
It's a fantastic format. Yeah, I love it.
Well, yeah, Eli Paperboy Reed, he came here too. Mindy Lang was mentioning him. He was something else out of Boston. Motown, yeah, he was something. All right, so does anybody else have any questions for Eliot? I've been hogging them, so before we exit, I want to make sure everybody gets an opportunity to talk to our special guest, Kathleen.
Well, Eliot, yeah, I have a question. So, Eliot, you're going to be doing keys on the Clearly Human tour?
Yes, I am. Yeah,
Okay.
I'll be one of 2 keyboard players. Yeah.
Right. You and Gil are both going to play. So how does that work? How are you guys going to be dividing that up?
So the word that I got from Gil via Todd was that Todd wanted me to do sort of the main piano parts.
Okay.
So when there's a piano or a Rhodes type part, that's what I'm going to take, which is great. I'm so honored to have that role because he really probably wrote most of that stuff on piano.
Yeah.
So I guess then Gil is going to do more of the textural stuff, strings and synths and all the, the different kind of stuff. And I've looked at some of the videos he has on his Facebook, and I'm like, wow, the guy's really super.
Yeah, he's a
great player.
Awesome.
Yeah.
For sure.
But that doesn't surprise me. Todd usually has amazing musicians with him. Of course, Chasm is, incredible musician, a triple threat, plays everything.
Gil, though, was an incredible story because at the last minute, Ralph Schuckett had to back out of the tour, and Rebop introduced Todd to the Gil. It came out of nowhere, and I really think Todd, in a way, took a chance because he didn't have maybe a week or two, and Gil just learned it like that, and he's been on fire ever since.
Eliot asked Todd for the actual story
amazing
because it is amazing.
Yep.
Ask him for the what?
The story about how he even knows about who Gil is, and it's through Todd's son, his youngest son, Rebop.
He got really lucky on that one. Yeah, really lucky on that. Cindy, did you want to ask Eliot something?
No, I'm just really looking forward to the Clearly Human tour, and I love you, and I think it's so great that you're part of the tour, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Oh, thank you so much. Me too. I really am. I'm thrilled to do it. Every time I work with Todd, it's just been an incredible experience. To me, he's such a true artist. He's done so many things in his career. It blows my mind. And every time I get into learning his music, I just, it just, makes me realize what a genius the guy is. He really is.
He is.
Yeah. All right, Eric and Cynthia, you got any questions?
I do. What is your favorite song that you're going to perform? Do you have a favorite song for the tour?
Well, I've heard some of these songs. Some of them I've played. Of course, "Hello, It's Me" goes way back to my 10-year-old self. But I have to say, once I learned the song "Parallel Lines," and I had heard the song years ago, and I remember T-Bone really loving that song and him talking about it on one of the episodes that we did with Todd. I think it was the first time at Daryl's house. And I remember T-Bone and Daryl probably going on and on about what an amazing song that was. And I had heard it once back then, but now that I've gotten into it and I've learned it, it's an incredible song. The lyric and how it's structured and written on piano is really something special. So that one will be, but there's so many. I mean, I had never heard of the song "The Waiting Game." I had never heard that before.
Wow.
It's so cool.
Yeah, it's a great one.
What about Hawking?
That's amazing. And I tell you, that's interesting. You should bring that up because as a musician, that was a bit of a challenge because when I heard the studio version, to count out where things were happening. Now, the chords aren't necessarily too complex or difficult, but there's a very strange and unique time meter in that song. And I don't know if you know it just by listening to it, but things don't happen in a particular way. Like the time signature in a lot of popular music is 4/4. There's 4 beats per measure. So Hawking is completely different.
Right.
There's different bars of different time signatures. So I had to really, that was the one song that was a really big challenge. I had to listen to a lot of live versions to go, wow, where is the one happening in the
Yeah, exactly.
And once I figured out the formula, then I was like, okay, I've got that. But an amazing song. I mean, incredible lyrics.
Yeah.
Yeah, Parallel
What about
Lines.
Unloved Children?
Unloved Children? Who said
Yeah.
that?
What about Unloved Children? How do you like that one?
I love that. That's a fun song.
Yeah.
That's going to be a fun song to play. And I Love My Life is going to be.
I Love My Life is
Oh yeah.
so awesome. Can't wait.
But I don't know. Can you hear this?
Yeah.
You can hear that?
Yes.
Yes.
I'm working, so everything is sort of.
Continue.
Right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
A little
I
pace.
believe
Todd-
that will work.
Yeah, Todd really doesn't do that song a lot, the last 10 years, so he really hasn't done it. And it's going to be a treat for everybody. I
Yeah.
really look forward to that
Definitely
one.
a treat.
And
Yeah.
obviously, I've been listening to that Tokyo show, the Nearly Human or Clearly Human Tokyo show as a reference. And wow, what the band that he had then!
Yeah.
That's an incredible performance.
It was
Yeah.
hot.
It just sounds amazing. Now that's not Chasm, is it?
No.
No.
That was
Larry
Larry
Tagg.
Tagg.
Larry Tagg, yeah, from Bourgeois Tag. Yep.
Okay.
Lyle Workman on guitar. Yeah, that was a great band, and the Japanese audience that's just a great DVD or
Yeah.
VHS, whatever it was.
Yeah,
yeah. And we found out our previous guest on the wine tasting was Grace, who you'll meet, Grace Yu, who's one of the dancers, or backup singers, dancers with Michelle. She was born in 1991. So there'll be some youth on the stage.
Awesome. That's great.
Yeah, it's kind of like, what? You what? Yeah. So, yeah, we're really looking forward to that. And
Yeah, me too.
yeah, we appreciate you giving us so much time and playing the music for us. It's been great. I do have one more question. So I know you do all music, so you play bass some too, right?
Yeah.
So Kathleen's a newer bass player. You got a little tip for her, a little advice maybe?
Yeah.
Oh God, stay away from 5 strings. I don't know anything about them.
Well, you know what? Every once in a while, I'm like, damn, I wish I had a low B string.
I know. Actually, no. I see you've got a Rickenbacker there.
Yeah, that's my baby.
That's awesome. Rickenbackers are amazing.
Show it off.
No,
Kathy.
I'm only joking. I never played a 5-string. I played bass in the Average White Band. And,
Yeah.
you know, I still play a little bit when I'm recording, I play. But anytime somebody gave me a 5-string to play, I'm like,
Yeah.
you know, obviously when you play it a little bit, you get used to it and it becomes normal, of course. But
Right.
I
No,
love
I'm
Ricky
totally
back.
happy with 4. And like
Yeah.
any songs that were originally played with 5 strings, there's a workaround, you know. So
Sure. Yeah.
Kathleen,
you play around with octaves.
show
What?
off that bass you got there. That's a great looking one. We want to
Oh.
show off the whole thing. Check this out, Elliot.
Yeah, girl power.
Great looking.
Oh, okay.
look at
It's
that.
just like a straight, is it a red or is it a,
It's actually called Plum Glow.
okay.
And it's really not plum, it's more pink.
Yeah.
And that's why I loved it. And it was actually, it was a color that was made specifically for the Japan market, but made in California at the Rickenbacker factory. But it was made for the Japan market, and also Chicago Music Exchange, you know, the big music store in Chicago.
Yep.
They happened to get, you know, a number of this color at their store, so I snagged it.
Beautiful. I think just seeing the headstock, I figured it was a sunburst, but that's a beautiful color.
No, it's a pink headstock.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah.
Good job. All right, everybody. Thanks so much. It's been great. Good series. Good fun. Elliot, you've been a great guest. So
Thanks for having me, guys.
we don't want to have an abrupt
you're
ending.
great.
So let's have a little toast. Maybe try.
Wait.
Let
I
me
have
get-
an empty glass. Hang
Yeah,
on.
no.
Hang on.
I'm not sure which way I'm going.
Hang
Which
on.
way that way.
I'm just going straight for the camera, baby.
Yeah, there you go. Boom, boom, boom. All right. Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year.
Love
Cheers,
y'all.
guys.
Cheers.
Be safe. Great to see you all.
Thank
You
you.
too.
You too.